I cannot explain how excited I became when I harvested this daikon radish from my garden truck. I started to harvest it and it pulled it up and it pulled and pulled and pulled. The first time I harvested, a few weeks ago, it was spindly and not much bigger than a piece of cooked spaghetti. But oh my goodness, now I have to figure out what I'm going to cook with it. How am I going to use it? Am I going to steam it? Am I going to grate it? Am I going to... Who knows what I'm going to do with it? So while I wait to figure out what I'm going to do with it, I harvested some jalapeno peppers. One of them actually went red on the vine. Oh, I was so excited to see that the other day. So I'm researching how to make adobo sauce. Yeah, I'm going to make some of that because I love it. And I don't have a smoker to smoke my jalapenos. I have a dehydrator. I can dehydrate them. I have some liquid smoke, so I'm going to play around with that and see how that turns out. But I'll let you know down the road how my adobo sauce turns out. So let's head outside to my container deck garden and look at my tomatoes. I have a bunch of tomatoes of all different types in different containers in this giant container. In the bottom of this giant container is some more soil, so when the roots reach down, they'll have more soil to grab onto. I thought I would give this a try and combine a bunch of tomato plants all in one place for ease. There's my garden truck with my daikon radishes. I put up that white square grate to hold them back from my cabbages seedlings that I have in there. Hopefully I'll have enough time. I saw a chipmunk, so that's why the camera's going Harry Carey. There's my collard greens. I harvested from them yesterday, and you'll see them in the video. I thought I would give you just sort of a broadcast of both sides of my garden. Usually I only show one side. You don't get to see the side where the ironing board is. Yeah, I brought up an old ironing board that I don't use anymore, and I put plants on it. And I put a board across my styrofoam planter boxes where I would keep my pak choy and my lettuces inside there so they wouldn't bolt, and it worked beautifully. But now it's not so hot, so they came out from the styrofoam boxes in their own planters, and they're covered with a shade cloth. So I have plants all along there. I have, you name it, it's there. I've got yellow zucchini squash. I have tomatoes. I have dwarf tomatoes. One I started in the house right there. And I put 4 dwarf tomato plants in this other container. Look at that. Isn't that precious? And it's setting the flowers. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. I've never grown a dwarf tomato. I thought it would be great to grow them indoors, but it got stunted indoors, and then it got really much bigger than it was supposed to, so I don't understand what's going on. So I have more tomatoes, and I have cucumbers. I have all kinds of stuff back there. Yeah, I have spare tomato plants. I have my yellow squash. I have yellow squash in there and green beans to the left of there. I have a tomato in a separate container inside the tote. I have jalapeno plant, 2 of them, in their own containers inside the tote with the yellow squash. There's my potatoes, and I thought I would go downstairs and show you a little bit of my echinacea, cornflower. They are just loving it out there. And pretty soon we'll see my little buddy, the old chipmunk. Yeah, he's over there in my permaculture bed that I'm not using this year. And may never use again. I'll just use it as a compost place for, twigs and leaves, leftover leaves that won't fit in my compost bin. But I do love my hydrangea. It had gotten wild one year, and I just yanked it up out of the ground and planted it. I didn't root it or nothing, just yanked it up and planted it, and there it is. Beautiful. And there's all my hostas and my irises. And that's the area behind the iris is where the chipmunks, I think there's little houses in there. I noticed he dropped down from those branches that I stuck there. The branches are from the cedar tree that really don't break down, because that's what cedar's supposed to do, live forever. So pretty soon you will see my little buddy that scared me earlier, almost ran across my foot up on the deck. He thinks I go in. There he is. I'll have a close-up in a second. There you go. He thinks I went in, so he comes out and runs across the deck. See if I left it. He sees it he could get to, but I'm pretty good about putting my seeds under Fort Knox in jail. Seed jail, I call it. Cages. Yeah. So little buddy can't get to it. So there's another scene of I have an old broken wheelbarrow where the wheels, it was a Rubbermaid, I suppose. It was plastic. And the plastic wheels cracked off. But it lasted over 20 years, so I was happy. But I think I'm going to lug it up the stairs, drill some holes in the bottom, so if it rains, it won't fill up with water. And that's where I'm going to empty out when it's time. There's Malvia and my echinacea again. But when it's time, I'm going to harvest my potatoes into that wheelbarrow, and be easier than trying to bend over and get dizzy looking, emptying it on a tarp. Yeah, that's the plan anyway. I may change that and empty it on a tarp just the same.